I was. I learned an awful lot about racial prejudice in 16 weeks.
Your analysis is very revealing. I guess, you know, what you've said, I mean, the problem of race we still have in the 21st century. And that is America's undoing. And I think unless we get past that, no matter who's elected, we aren't going to.
Well, it's unfortunate that we're mired in the greatest recession since the Great Depression in the 30s. Because in all periods and all times, bad economic conditions allow for the potential of race to play a more prominent role in politics. The whole concept of using scapegoats is more prominent at that time. We forget that Adolf Hitler was elected chancellor in 1933 in Germany, and he could win because of the times. We in America in the 30s had, in Detroit alone, Father Charles Coughlin and Henry Ford, and we know something about scapegoating Jews at that time. So this is a bad period for anybody, and our discontents are going to find less salutary outlets in a recession. It's just the nature of it.
You suggest that Obama's probably going to win again, and I certainly hope he does, whatever his strengths.
Well, the Republicans don't have a winning candidate yet. You've got to.
That's true.
The rule in politics, you've got to beat somebody with somebody, and
they're splintered.
Sarah Palin won't be the nominee.
And the Tea Party is too radical.
Newt Gingrich won't be the nominee. The front runner, the only front runner, is Mitt Romney, and I frankly think, while Obama's got a religion problem, I think Mitt Romney's got a huge religion problem. I don't think this country is that easily going to elect a Mormon.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Furthermore, Mitt Romney can hardly speak against Obama's health care plan because his program as governor of Massachusetts is almost exactly the same.
Absolutely.
What you have in that election is a very low Republican Party turnout among their right-wing social base, because they're not going to like Romney either. And so the stay-at-homes are going to hurt the Republicans if it's Romney. Yeah. Romney won't beat Obama in 2012. You can bet your third mortgage on your house on that one.
What about Huckabee? That's a joke.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a religious fanatic.
Yeah, that's fine. I was curious what.
I think Romney has a religion problem. They've never heard Huckabee speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Born again, Yeah, I was curious just how he.
I want to go back to race. I'm sure you saw the research that CNN had on about the kids choosing the dolls again, the last couple of months or so.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm sitting here wondering is, with so much of conservative America trying to sell there is no racism, the problem's over, or whatever, and then you see the results of something like that research with the kids. I don't know how you move in terms of resolving, talking, when it's still almost we don't want to talk about that. Because if you bring it up, the immediate defense mechanism of most people is, I'm not racist. I don't need to talk about that.
Right.
But that's not the world.
Yes.
It's not my world. It's not your world. But it is our world as a nation. And I don't know how I guess I'm thinking that in terms of the whole political, I don't know how it becomes other than the boogeyman that gets pulled out, the Horton, that's how it's used. But we never get to the how do we actually make this a country where we can live together.
If you look at Barack Obama's life history and the 2 books he wrote and his speeches that he's made about race, I mean this neutrally, you won't find a more conservative African-American politician. You won't. He in his book talks about self-help. He takes the personal responsibility. He takes the Bill Cosby approach. He's highly critical of the stereotype of the inner city ghetto youth, and all of that image.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
And so if America has a hard time accepting him, whose mother's white, born in Kansas.
Middle America.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of...
Actually, white America, Harvard, and I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's certainly not the typical
Columbia,
experience
Harvard.
of anybody, but certainly not a whole bunch of black folks.
Exactly. And if he can't talk about race, here's a statement from Michael Eric Dyson, who's got a book coming out called, great title, Presidential Race. And he says, "You've got one of the great intellects on race in the presidency, and yet he is hamstrung as a gag order. Now, some of the gag order is self-imposed, and some of it is at the behest of nervous white Americans who are fearful that Mr. Obama will racialize the presidency. So he's got a legitimate concern that he doesn't get pigeonholed. But the tragedy is that we need his leadership." And I think that's right on. This president tried to talk about race a little bit, and it didn't work, so we backed off.
Well, with political correctness, it's hard to talk about racism somehow because I don't support Obama. I'm seen as racist. Or if Henry Reid, whose record doesn't show him being a racist, but he makes a political observation that Obama can get elected because he's, I forget his exact word.
Acceptable is exactly what he meant.
Yeah,
he speaks
he's
well.
more, he doesn't have a black...
Joe Biden said the same thing.
He speaks well.
And he got excoriated for that, and I didn't feel that was racist. I don't know, was it?
Well, I think it is racist. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the other side of it, though, is that there's no... We don't know how to talk about it either.
Right.
Is there a point at which I'm too sensitive? I don't know.
Yeah, that's...
But because we never talk
That's the
about
problem.
it.
It's like,
But we never talk about it
Right.
in a way that we can
And-
come to an answer on
And
that.
we don't talk about it because it's like throwing red meat to the lions, If you bring up race and the feelings and the, everybody, it's kind of like...
Well, I mean, the Shirley Sherrod case, if you go through all of the details of the Shirley Sherrod case.
My response to this is always, you don't have to talk to me about race, only me. When you're with your white friends, do you talk about race? Because that's where it makes a difference.
Right, yes.
It's not just when there's black and white together.
Right.
We have to talk about it all the time. That's what the parents of those kids learned when they were watching their children make choices and saying, "I didn't teach them." Well, you didn't have to.
Right.
It's right out. It's on
in the
TV.
fabric of the culture.
It's there.
And
If they're going to see it, what you have to do is talk about it to get them to see a different way.
It's so inbred too. I was teaching
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
a class in Detroit, and everybody in the class was black except me. And there was one kid that did something wrong, and I called him on it and stopped him. And he stood up very defiant and he says, "You're just picking on me because I'm black." all the other kids in the class, they looked around and he says, "What are you talking about, man? We're all black. I'm picking on you because you're black."
Yeah, well, the comment Harry Reid made was similarly made by Joe Biden. It was similarly made by Geraldine Ferrara. As I said in my paper, the Democrats use race. Bill Clinton used race. We all use race. It's right now the Republicans are the out party, and so they're more likely to need to use it to win back office. The problem is that the American people haven't transcended race, and so it's still there as a vehicle for politicians to use. And the Republicans are doing what comes naturally, I suppose, to the out party in government, to use whatever tools are available. I mean, what the Republicans have done for 2 years just doesn't seem to me to deserve to win,